The first sign of fashion design can be cited from the Egyptian and Roman Empire. Upper and lower class clothing items were made different, but even then, over time, that hasn't changed. But the way we dress and consume fashion sure has changed. I'm Joris Sarah Icon, instructor, fashion apparel designer at MyEd. Your fabric artist is sustaining life, living advocate. Can you explain a little bit about that for me?
Hi, Carlos. Yes, I'm an associate professor of the Fashion and Apparel Design program at MyEd. I'm also a knitter, weaver, natural dyer, and fashion designer. And I prefer to use natural fibers and materials within my work, and also to try and be as zero waste as possible. Celebrities, media, economic status, and different cultures all have a say in how trends are created.
Women's fashion here in America has evolved over time. Let's take a look at the trends started from the roaring 20s. Seeing the evolution of trends really tells the story of what was going on in that time frame. Let's discuss the ways trends came to be.
Media has been a huge cause, specifically now. Before social media, styles would stay a trend for many years. Trends have died faster than ever before because social media moves on from topics fast. These apps have created so many microtrends, which has led to the creation of subgenres of style. Social media isn't the only media outlet people use for style inspiration, though.
People have gained inspiration from movies and TV shows for many years, as well as many people watch a show or movie and be in awe of a particular character so much that they want to be just like them. The way the character presents themselves is a key part of their personality.
That's why people get inspiration from celebrities. Brands know celebrities have a big hold on how people consume in today's age. So with that knowledge, they send PR packages to promote their clothing pieces. Even if the fans aren't buying the expensive pieces, they try and look for cheap knockoffs.
In the past, people would look through magazines to see what celebrities were, try to mimic the silhouette of the outfits with items they came across because they wouldn't be able to afford a $100 top, but they would look at what they were wearing on Instagram and find dupes of it at fast fashion stores.
The economic status is a huge part of how people dress. When people have a high amount of money, they tend to spend money on luxury items, and with low incomes, they tend to buy from cheaper options such as thrift stores.
Different cultures also create trends within the communities because different values, interests, and they have clothing pieces can show that.
Let's take a look at how fashion designers in Milwaukee view and consume trends.
My culture, as a Black American woman, it's impacted in every single way that I've grown up and curated myself as an adult.
Black culture is it's just so freeing. I would like to say we all don't fit in one box, which I can appreciate. Everyone has, the creativity is crazy. So I think being able and open to different things, it has impacted me a little bit as far as my own design process. As far as my own personal style, I feel as if I'm free to wear whatever I want, and I'm free to express that without judgment.
My childhood was pretty much spent in the Black churches, so accessorizing is huge, I have vivid memories of grandmothers with their grandiose hats in the church, and their hats that match their blazer, that matches their shell, that matches their pencil skirt, that matches their shoes. So grandiose moments, creating moments with your looks, I feel like is very embedded within the Black culture.
Based on where I live in the Midwest, it's very much influenced by the weather and staying warm and quilts and knits and things like that. So I think growing up, that played a heavy influence on the clothes I wore. So now I like to design stuff that's comfortable and warm.
Let me think. Fashion trends in my culture.
The thing that I love the most is not needing a moment to create a moment. A lot of times there's this thought process that you need to be going somewhere in order to put what you want to wear on. And I feel like the Black culture pushes back against that narrative every time.
I love that the baggy era is back. The skinny jean thing was kind of a little uncomfortable. So I love the baggy era. It's the baggy tops and the baggy bottoms. I like that. It's just coming back. I hope it stays a little while. And the bell bottom cuts and stuff like that. I'm really enjoying the baggy look right now.
Streetwear, that's the trends I would say are oversized jeans right now. I would say oversized baggy jeans is bringing it from the 90s, since I really do like the 90s a lot. The cargo pants and sheer cutouts. I love a cutout. I love a sheer sexy moment.
My fashion inspiration would have to be Christopher John Rogers. And he's really pushing the envelope in terms of, first off, incorporating the rainbow into a lot of his designs, which I find so beautiful, because it constantly creates this conversation around sexuality in fashion spaces. But in addition to that, the silhouettes that he produces, I find, are incredibly unique.
Ralph Lauren mixed with Bathe and Ape or something like that. That's what my brand is. It's where I go after, formal with also very much streetwear.
King B being one, Ken White being another one. One from Milwaukee, I would say, is Inkjet Closets. I'm more so into local fashion than the big brands, but if I had to choose a bigger brand, it would be Louis Vuitton right now with Pharrell, or Louis Vuitton and Virgil.
My favorite fashion time period would have to be the 1950s.
The 90s. I love the 90s. I'm not a streetwear designer, but I definitely feel the sexy elements that were played on in the 90s, I definitely incorporate those into my my everyday fashion, whether it be myself or to my clients.
It was when there was this thing happening where you were pushing the envelope in terms of what was appropriate for women to wear, what was appropriate for women's wear, but then also the custom tailoring was still immaculate like it was that day.
We were wearing like Ralph Lauren polos and stuff like that, and like khakis. I really like that. It was like very formal, and then also like mixed with the streetwear of like Bathe and Ape. It was like a weird mix of things, and like the skateboard culture and stuff like that, the Thrasher tees. I'm blanking what year that was, but it was a long time ago. A long time ago.
And I think that that's something that's missing from ready to wear right now, is because it's kind of like this one size fits all approach. And we all know, like, that's not how bodies are made, you know? So it's not how clothing should be made.
That was some great insight into the inspiration for some of the Milwaukee fashion designer scenery.
The mention of fitted clothing in the past is another point that clothing right now is not made to last. Another reason being the low quality. Fast fashion items have a limited lifetime.
Many cheaply made clothing items are made with polyester, which is synthetic material, kind of plastic that takes about 200 years to decompose.
It's damaging to the world during its whole lifetime, including the creation. It's one of the main causes of the climate crisis. It's responsible for about 10% of global carbon dioxide emissions.
Waste happens during all phases of production, including harming wildlife, damaging land, polluting soil, and water.
We'll continue this conversation later. Now let's take another look at the local Milwaukee fashion designers. They'll talk about their creative process and what they want to accomplish within the fashion industry.
I personally view fashion as your own personal shield. So I feel like it is a way to create your own safe space and a way to articulate who you are to people around you based on how you put yourself together.
I always say it's ever changing. It's like an evolving, like a revolving door. It's always moving, always going, and many different people are always jumping in and out.
The ultimate way to express yourself. I also come from the music side of things where you can express yourself there, but fashion is like a little more broad, like anyone can express yourself. Like even if you don't talk to anybody and just like get on the bus and go to the store, people could peep, you know, what kind of outfit you have on and maybe be inspired by that. You can like be inspired by that. It's always good to like, you know, someone to tell you have a nice outfit on, so stuff like that.
I plan on really pushing against the idea of gender constructs within fashion. I design under the label Matte Black, and I specifically have gotten very comfortable saying that I make femwear because I don't want it to be identified with a specific gender. And so anyone who feels like they want to be more feminine for the day, no matter who you are, I want to design for you.
Something left from when I worked in the fashion industry, just a small impact.
Bringing couture styles, but at a reasonable price, is really important to me. I feel like everyday women should be able to get the feel of luxury without breaking the bank. Also, being able to make clothes for all body types. I feel like that's very important as for curvier girls, especially in my culture. It's really hard to find those nice things that don't always make you look matronly, but can make you feel sexy regardless of your size.
Having sustainable practices, in addition to making Black faces a lot more prominent within high fashion spaces.
My creativity process is pretty random. I'll go to Goodwill or Joann's to get some fabric. Sometimes I'll have an idea of what I want to do. A lot of times I don't. It's very random. It's very random. I'll make tops, make bottoms, and put them all in the collection and see what I got.
I've been inspired by by nature. I've been inspired by culture. I've been inspired by movement. You know, there are some looks that are static and on a hanger and they give you nothing, but as soon as they're on a body in movement, they're the most gorgeous thing you've ever seen. So I've thought about, I have been inspired by so many different things.
My fashion journey began, the Hades journey began not too long ago with my girlfriend teaching me at the time how to crochet and how to sew. But I was always into fashion a lot. I guess I didn't know where to put it. I used to make t-shirts and hats and stuff like that as a musician for touring, stuff like that. But the brand just started, it just was inspired by just laying around and bored, and my girlfriend was crocheting and making money with math, so I was like, I want to make money too.
I woke up one day and told my mom that I wanted to be a fashion designer, and 3 weeks later, she had me set up with a mentor and a sewing machine. I was a sophomore in high school. How I got into gowns would be my senior year. I was creating gowns for all of my friends.
Fashion used to take its time a little more. It seemed like the 90s fashion lasted all the way into the 90s, and then in 2000 it just got really baggy. But now it's switching every 3 to 5 years, drastically, the style.
Today, there's a little bit more freedom. A little bit more freedom in what you wear and who wears what. You will see men in skirts, you will see women in suits, which I can appreciate. But I will say there's not as much originality now than there was back in the day, maybe the 90s, where everyone's personal style was way different. You couldn't put compare two people to the next as far as their style is concerned. Whereas now, with social media, a lot of things are just being recreated. Different outfits are being recreated. Everything is being copied.
A past fashion trend.
I think all of the trends are coming back. Corsets is a real big one right now that I'm in love with. I don't think that there's anything that hasn't been seen in the last 10 years that we haven't seen before.
Honestly, I'm ready for the polo collars and the khakis somehow. Not the skinny jeans, but I don't see a lot of collared shirts and collared short sleeve shirts.
The thing that's coming to mind right now are gauchos. when I was a girl, they semi come back in the sense of long flared yoga pants. I'm like, that's a gaucho that's not cropped. Let's be for real. But I feel like the croppedness just made them so Y2K. And I feel like that's missing from our now floor length flared yoga pants.
The creativity these fashion designers have is so refreshing, compared to the fast brands that steal from small businesses.
With so many micro trends popping up, others try to follow, which leads to the lack of creativity, both styling and creation-wise. The amount of clothing production has also doubled over the past 2 decades, and global consumption has increased 400%.
Some ways you can reduce fashion waste is to thrift or buy secondhand clothing. In other ways, it can be an affordable alternative.
Also, you can look into buying from local fashion designers to get clothes that fit your body type and made for long-lasting wear.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you a series of questions. How did you first begin your journey into fashion?
I taught myself how to sew at 16 years old, and I also had a grandma that didn't make apple pies but took me shopping downtown Chicago, and so around that time is when my interest in fashion started peaking.
Okay, and if you could work alongside a fashion icon, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would choose Vivienne Westwood, English
good.
fashion designer, and I would love to hear her stories and her origins from the punk music scene.
Okay, and how do you think today's fashion trends differs from the past?
They're definitely a lot faster, and I think the quality of the clothing is also not what it used to be. And just us as consumers, we aren't as responsible with the clothing that we do purchase.
Okay. And then out of all the material that you ever made, what was like your favorite piece that you ever created?
I don't know if I have a favorite piece, but right now I'm very much enjoying making Halloween costumes for my kids.
Okay, and what era do you think had the best style?
I don't know if I could pick an era. I think I get really excited by the 70s. There was just a lot happening in a lot of the different categories, subcultures, and whatnot. So I think maybe my gut is telling me the 70s right now.
The 70s was a great era. But how do you feel about, your personal fashion views?
For me, I like to invest in small companies, those that have the traceability of the materials, of how the origin of the materials and how they're making their clothing, making sure that people are getting living wages, being paid for their work as well, and something that's comfortable and that can grow with me and as I wear it for longevity.
Okay. And then since you are a teacher, what's your favorite part about being a teacher at MyEd?
My favorite part is the students. Even if I teach the same class, it'll feel very different because the students bring different creativity and ideas to each class, and so that helps me keep up with the trends too and what they're interested in, and is always a challenge in helping bring their designs to life.
And then since fashion is constantly evolving, do you think fashion these days has a gender to it, or do you still feel like there are some gender to some of the fashion trends?
I think some stores want you to think that there's a gender to it, but really, in my views, is that clothing is genderless. It's all self-expression and what makes you feel the best in what you're wearing.
Okay, and then since you said that, do you think like it will constantly evolve starting now, or do you think like there might be some things that could set it back?
I think it is going to evolve, especially my students in the class I teach. We really view clothing as just a form of expression and that it isn't gendered, and that skirts are for everybody.
Yes. Okay, and then since you're a teacher at MyEd, do you feel like the way you go about grading is very different from your average teacher?
Great. I don't think so. I think that through any course, there's some skill sets and competencies that need to be met, and I think just like I'm here to help you get there, but how we get there is a lot on the student and what their interests are within fashion and design.
That's great to hear. Honestly, I would really want to know like your process, going through fashion, getting ideas, like what steps do you take?
A lot of it is just kind of looking at the zeitgeist or like the spirit of the times and what's happening and pulling inspiration from that. Some people pull inspiration from personal interests. Myself, again, I mentioned that I was a natural dyer, so I do a lot of work out, in the garden and outside, and so a lot of my interests kind of are rooted in that. No pun intended, but and like I mentioned too, that I like to use natural materials, so making sure that I can source materials that feels good to me and are going to wear and feel nicely as well.
And how do you go about finding like natural materials, since like that's something that you use on a daily basis?
Sometimes I purchase them. I'll, just do my research and how I'm purchasing them. I'm also personally pushing myself to try and find my resources secondhand. Like, is there a cotton bed sheet that is at the thrift store that I could use for a project as opposed to buying fabric from the store?
Thank you. That was a great discussion and interesting look into the fashion design scenery here in Milwaukee.
Please consider different alternatives to shopping after hearing about how harmful fast fashion is to the environment.